Busy during the cast, you are pre-recording.
Is my mic good?
To your report too.
Let's get money, gang.
All right, let's have a good show.
Get money, gang.
All right.
Where's the voice of God?
We're all ready?
Where's the voice of God?
Thumbs up. How are you guys? Okay, we're good. Yep. I'll cue you.
I just want to see the story before. Just want to see the story. I should walk in. I'll go in there, I guess. Okay. Well, no, maybe I don't go in there, but I want to walk over beforehand because it's kind of short. So, like, you too? Yeah.
1.
Tonight, a U.S. judge extends the federal buyout offer to Monday. Israel prepares for a U.S. takeover of the Gaza Strip, and Venezuelans speak out against Trump policies. Coming up after the break.
All right, take a seat, line up with your TV. Here we go. Have fun, everyone.
Which camera am I looking at? 2 or
I think
one?
that one.
Okay.
They're just queuing up. The pre-recording.
Yeah, I think you go that one, I go this one.
Welcome to the National Rundown. I'm Micaiah Tinklenberg.
And I'm Tyler Del Percio. President Trump's proposal to buy out federal workers will have to wait after a U.S. judge blocked the proposal. The ruling by U.S. District Judge George O'Toole pushes the midnight deadline back until at least Monday, with the possibility of delaying it further or blocking it altogether. The Trump administration says those who did not take the offer could still lose their jobs, and the White House claims that over 40,000 federal workers have already accepted the offer. The proposal has left Washington in an uproar, with street protests and accusations by labor unions and opposing Democrats claiming that the president is violating multiple laws.
Adversaries and allies of the United States are jarred and nodding their heads in disapproval after President Trump announced plans for the United States to take ownership of the Gaza Strip. Earlier this morning, the president doubled down on his controversial plans, stating that the Palestinian district would be turned over to the U.S. by Israel, concluding the war on Truth Social. While Israeli officials have yet to comment on the president's remarks, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sat down with Fox News to praise Trump. Our brains determine how much we eat, and a new vaccine that's showing promising results fighting kidney cancer. Michael George has the day's top health stories.
There's progress in making a vaccine for one type of kidney
CBS, so you have
cancer.
about-
Researchers at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute say all patients with clear cell renal cell carcinoma in a clinical trial had success with a personalized cancer vaccine. The vaccine trains the body's immune system to recognize and eliminate tumor cells. This was an early trial with just 9 patients, so more research is needed. Worldwide, only 7 in 100 people are getting effective treatment for their mental health or substance use disorders. Researchers from the University of British Columbia found the biggest reason is that nearly half of people with mental health or substance abuse issues don't recognize they need treatment. Even among people who do think they need help, only about a third actually seek it out. Scientists at Columbia say they've discovered the part of the brain that tells us to stop eating. A study on mice found a specific neuron interprets how much food we've eaten and tells us when we've had enough. By activating that neuron, the mice ate much smaller meals. The hope is to one day use this knowledge to treat obesity. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News.
Democrats in the U.S. House Oversight Committee are calling for an investigation of potential national security threats posed by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. Today, lawmakers urged deputy inspectors general at several federal agencies to investigate potential national security breaches involving Musk's team. Lawmakers say they are deeply concerned that the unauthorized access to the system is happening across the federal government. They argue that this could pose a major threat to the personal privacy of all Americans. Transgender athletes are now banned from taking part in women's sports after President Trump signed an executive order. The order will mandate sex and sports policies and direct federal agencies like the Department of Justice to interpret federal Title IX rules. Rules include the participation of transgender girls and women in female sports categories. The White House warned schools and universities that do not comply with the new mandate could lose federal funding and face legal action.
A Japan Airlines plane collision at the Seattle-Tacoma Airport raises safety concerns. While being taxied, the right wing of the plane struck a parked Delta aircraft. There were 172 passengers and 13 crew members on the plane about to depart. While the parked Delta, there were 142 passengers on board waiting for de-icing. Damage to both aircrafts was significant, and both were removed on Wednesday afternoon. The FAA will investigate what went wrong, including possibly tapping into the National Transportation Safety Board. After the break, Venezuelans speak out after having immigration protections terminated.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Cinderella found the pet that fits her perfectly, and you can too. Share your heart, share your love. Make a shelter pet part of your world. Happily Ever After begins at theshelterpetproject.org.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
Almost 350,000 Venezuelans in Florida face deportation as President Trump has removed their temporary protected status. This status, granted to U.S. immigrants who can't return to their countries due to natural disasters or political upheaval, has allowed immigrants from Venezuela to live and work in the United States. Without this status, those affected will no longer have temporary protection from deportation or work permits. This is a part of President Trump's ongoing mass deportations across the country.
One of the last remaining U.S. industrial empires, Honeywell, announced today that they will split into 3 independent companies, separating from its aerospace and technology businesses. The board of Honeywell has been exploring strategic options for the company since early 2024, about 6 months after Vimal Kapur took over as CEO. The separation is expected to be completed in the second half of 2026.
And now, Michael is here with the latest on the Venezuelan protests.
Right, so there are a series of protests occurring across the country, some happening daily and others, like A Day Without Immigrants, happened on February 3rd, and they are scheduled by and driven by the activists across social media, happening across the country.
So what is the significance of these protests?
So these protests are essentially against President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown, that are happening in cities like Chicago, Brooklyn, and right here at home in Newark, New Jersey. Immigrant-owned shops and restaurants were closed on February 3rd in an effort to demonstrate to the government that immigrants are the backbone of this country.
Is there anything people do to either support them or get involved with this?
Yeah, there is a lot of things that people can do to support and get involved in these protests, like boycott corporate companies that are supportive of immigration crackdowns, such as Target, Starbucks, Home Depot, and McDonald's, just to name a few. Another thing people can do is look at their closest protests in their communities and march on.
So, Michael, has anything like this ever happened before?
Yeah, on February 16, 2017, less than a month after President Trump took office in his first term, immigrants were also at the heart of his initial presidential campaign, including his signature promise to build a wall at the U.S. southern border. People from nearly 40 states participated in this one-day boycott. Its origins go back to 2006 strike that prompted hundreds of thousands in the country to skip work and school to protest immigration reforms by former President George W. Bush and his administration.
Thanks, Michael. Thieves in Pennsylvania reportedly stole 100,000 eggs in a shocking robbery. Antrim Township Police reported the eggs are worth about $40,000 and noted the thieves were able to make off with the eggs as they were left in the back of a trailer Saturday night. Though law enforcement is racing to crack the case, the eggs remain missing.
Federal agents conduct raids on several apartment complexes across the Denver area Wednesday night. In sweeping operations, part of the new Trump administration's mass deportation efforts, ICE stated that raids were a part of a concerted efforts to target Venezuelan gangs operating in the United States.
In response to President Trump filing a $10 billion lawsuit against CBS, the news network has released unedited footage of their October 60 Minutes interview with then Vice President Kamala Harris. Trump and his team filed the lawsuit after claiming CBS altered the interview footage to favor Harris and her chances to win the presidency. CBS claims that the unedited footage proves the 60 Minutes version of the interview was not doctored.
Lending a helping hand, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets with leaders on Capitol Hill. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is meeting with congressional leaders today on Capitol Hill, just days after the joint press conference Netanyahu had with President Trump. Trump has a new vision for Gaza, saying that the United States would, quote, own it. Senate Majority Leader John Thune told reporters Wednesday in response to President Trump's announcement that the president, quotes, wants to bring a more peaceful and secure Middle East, and he's putting some ideas out there. The Israeli Prime Minister's visit to Washington comes amid a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas that was negotiated in the final days of the Biden administration.
A second person has died after a gunman opened fire in a cosmetics facility in New Albany, Ohio, late on Tuesday night. The accused shooter, Bruce Reginald Foster III, appeared for an arraignment hearing on Thursday afternoon where he was issued a $20 million bond. Foster, who was 28, was an employee at the faculty. The New Albany police previously confirmed the suspect had been working for several hours before opening fire and then left in a rideshare vehicle. Authorities said the suspect's motive remains unknown. Police said there was no unusual behavior or altercation before the shooting. About 150 people were inside the warehouse at the time. President Donald Trump will be getting more than a bird's eye view of the Super Bowl game this Sunday as he announces he will be in attendance. He will become the first sitting president in USA history to be present at the Super Bowl, along with the U.S. Secret Service. Trump will be watching in person as the Kansas City Chiefs defend their three-peat against the Philadelphia Eagles.
And now, here's sports with Patrick.
Long disgruntled Heat superstar Jimmy Butler has his trade. Last month, Butler had requested a trade from the team, and the location that he's been shipped off to is Golden State. The Warriors are making one last push for a championship and acquiring the star, trading Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, PJ Tucker, and a top 10 protected first-round pick to Miami. Other teams involved include the Jazz receiving Dennis Schroeder, along the Pistons getting Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson. Butler inked a 2-year, $121 million deal after the trade was finalized. Another trade in the NBA landscape took place as Wizards forward Kyle Kuzma is heading to the Bucks. Kuzma has been a solid scorer for Washington over the past 4 seasons and a top trade target of contending teams after he was made available. Milwaukee stepped in, parting with a franchise legend in the Mist. Chris Middleton is heading the other way. Middleton had been with the team for 12 years, making 3 All-Star appearances and winning a championship in 2021. The Bucks have opted to go younger and cheaper in this deal, and Kuzma is thought to be an upgrade over Middleton. Browns' Myles Garrett is requesting a trade. The defensive end has been a stalwart of the team since being drafted in 2017, reaching 6 Pro Bowls, 4 All-Pro teams, and winning a Defensive Player of the Year in 2023. Post-Super Bowl, the market for Garrett will really heat up, with many contenders picking up the phone to check in on the price from Cleveland. Current favorites to land Garrett include the Washington Commanders, Detroit Lions, and New England Patriots. Brian Hartline is getting a promotion to Ohio State offensive coordinator. Hartline has been on the Buckeyes staff since 2017, serving as their wide receivers coach since 2018, and as a co-offensive coordinator last season. Hartline's track record as a wide receivers coach is well-renowned, coaching some of the best that come through the college ranks, including Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, and Marvin Harrison Jr., along with many others. Hartline will take the reins from Chip Kelly, whose offense won a national championship last season, as Kelly went back up to the NFL stage, taking a job with the Las Vegas Raiders. Back to you at the desk.
fans that might not be real fans.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with Isaac Jean-Baptiste, and we're going to be discussing the Super Bowl. And not only the Super Bowl, but the bandwagon fans that come with it. Hello, Isaac. So, who you want to win the Super Bowl?
Well, of course I want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm from Cherry Hill. It's 30 minutes away from the Philly Stadium, for the Eagles Stadium. So it's definitely be a nice experience to go out there and party after they win a game.
So, now you're looking ahead for the party, but are you actually an Eagles fan?
I'm actually not an Eagles fan. Growing up, I've been a Colts fan, because I like Andrew Luck playing Madden when I was a kid with my brothers, and Peyton Manning. Those are my two favorite quarterbacks. They both played for the Colts. So it was just natural for me to like the Colts. But ever since I've been going out, recently, I've been, having a little fun here and there, and it's fun being around the crazy Eagles fans.
So you basically look forward to the fun more so than anything than the actual fandom.
Yeah, it's just like the feeling that you get like when you're around a whole bunch of, like a community of crazy Eagles fans that's like really all, like their life depends on whether or not the Eagles win. It's interesting. It's pretty interesting.
So now, do you feel like a outcast or somebody different because you're not one of them people per se?
I mean, like a little, like it used to feel like that, but the more time goes on, like I feel like I'm getting to be a real fan. Like it feels like I actually care about whether the Eagles win or not when I'm watching them. It's weird.
So now, that goes to me to ask, do you see yourself becoming an Eagles fan over time?
I mean, I feel like a bandwagoner, but it feels like it's coming. You know what I mean? Like if I had kids right now around this area, like they probably would end up being Eagles fans.
So now, and this is just because of the area, or this is just more so because of the fun that you're having in the moment?
Fun that I'm having. I mean, the memories you make, but like being an Eagles fan, and like when I went to it started at the first parade they went to when they went to the Super Bowl. First, the Chiefs the first time, had a great time, almost climbed the pole. Ever since then, I'm like, all right, like it could be fun being an Eagles fan.
So you brought it back to 2019.
Yeah.
You brought it back to 2019. Okay, so if they win the Super Bowl, you're signing off, like you're an official Eagles fan, or you still got some Colts love left in you?
I don't know if I could ever be an official Eagles fan, but it would definitely bring me closer. That's for sure. It would definitely bring me closer. I ain't gonna lie.
So what is it gonna take for you to be an Eagles fan?
I don't know. That's a good question. I never really thought about it. But I guess if we win one more, then yeah, I'll think about it.
And look what you just said. It's we. So I guess you're an Eagles fan now.
Wow,
Look
dang.
at that. And back to you at the desk.
Danger on the horizon near Earth asteroid may cause global impact winter in 157 years. With a 1 in 2,700 chance to strike Earth, Bennu isn't likely to collide with the planet. However, it is not impossible. A collision was modeled showing a crash would leave the global climate and ecosystems impacted due to a period of cool temperatures.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Now let's head to the World News Minute with Dan.
Here's news from around the world. Following President Trump's announcement that the U.S. will pull out of the World Health Organization, Argentine President Javier Milei has announced that his nation will also leave. Both later cite the perceived mishandlings of the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent lockdown measures as reasons to leave the organization, while detractors fear the potential ramification those same exits could have. In a controversial new announcement, President Trump has announced his intentions for the Gaza Strip, detailing plans for American occupation and hinting at intentions to relocate Palestinians living in the territory to other Arab states. Trump states he envisions Gaza could become, quote, the Riviera of the Middle East under American occupation. Following their capture of the eastern city of Goma, the Congolese rebel group Alliance Fleuve Congo has called for a ceasefire in their struggle with the national government. The battle for Goma, which claimed hundreds of lives last week, has attracted much international attention, along with rumors that the government of Rwanda has been covertly aiding the insurgency. That wraps up tonight's World News Minute. Back to the desk.
Keep your scarves and gloves handy. Next week isn't getting any warmer. The weather is up next.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Now let's take a look at the weather. Tonight in Glassboro, it's going to be down to 30 degrees. Then on Friday, it will be partly cloudy with a high of 45 and a low of 23. On Saturday, get ready for some snow in the afternoon with a high of 35 and a low of 30. And on Sunday, a high of 42 and a low of 23.
Let's go over to Monday when it will be mostly cloudy with a high of 40 and a low of 28. Then we are back to some snow on Tuesday with a high of 35, and it will get down to 29 degrees. Well, that wraps up tonight's National Rundown. Stay warm and have a good night.